is Kanwalinder Singh Soti. I am currently working as Assistant Director in the Ministry of MSME, looking after a World Bank co-funded project. I have my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Thapar University with a CGPA of 8.43. I've also done a master's of technology part-time in production engineering from IK Gujarat University with a percentage of 62%. I just gave my GMAT on 3rd of July, and I got a 730 with Q49 V41. In 2019, when I attended the classes, so I had made certain notes and that, and then apart from those notes, I also started the Manhattan verbal sentence correction guide. And second, the major thing that I missed out in the first was because I am good at quant. Mostly Indians are good at quant. So in the first exam, I had actually given my quant first. And by the time I finished with my exam, I was a little bit exhausted. And I believe I made certain errors in my verbal. Because of that, my score fell. So this time around, I first gave my verbal and then gave my quant. And because after that, the performance goes down. So instead of getting a 50 or a 51, I got a 49 in my quant. And secondly, I focused only on the official material. Uh, Quant was taught to us by Mr. Rupen. So he had given at that time he had given his sheets in 2019. So they were very like helpful while I was revising them. Secondly, for I had I believe for problem solving we generally do not get many issues. We only have issues with the DS section. So for DS, I again went and solved the 700 plus questions that I could find. So I solved almost 300, 700 plus questions. So I believe I had issues in inequality. Probability, I believe I always was strong in probability and PNC. So that was not an issue. But in inequality and the modulus questions and those kind of questions in which you have to make cases and everything, those were a bit like because of I had lost touch with all these kind of things a long time back. So those were a little bit tricky. So I worked on those parts. So this time I actually went through my ESR first, and then I found out what were the focus areas, because giving I had given the exam first, so I thought that I know that I could actually get a 50 or a 51 easily in quant. Critical reasoning I always found easier, and in fact, in EduShastra, when I gave my first exam, I scored a verbal 35 or something. So sentence correction was a bit tough for me because for so many years we had been writing wrong English, we had been speaking wrong English. So sometimes, I had to stop myself from taking the question based on how it sounded, because we thought, oh, it does not sound well. And then I actually had to work on how to first find out the flaws in the question and strike out the question. Instead of like picking out the right answer, I should strike out the four incorrect answers. So that approach helped me a lot. I started with my mocks. I would stick to the timeline first. And actually, as we know that there is a penalty if you do not complete your exam in GMAT. So I had studied a lot and talked with a lot of people, and they said that like we all know that the first 5 to 10 questions are very important. So I would maybe take 1.5 to 2 minutes on the first 10 questions and make sure that I get them right. And maybe if I am not making up the time, then I would check my timing when I have 40 minutes left, how many questions I've done, and then when I have 20 minutes left, and then 10 minutes left. And if by 10 minutes I am not uh, like I have not the time limit is not 1.5 minutes per question, then I would just rush through two or three questions, so that at the end I would able to I can easily attempt my last questions, because I read somewhere that in fact even the last one or two questions also matter a lot. So my main approach was to get the first 10 questions right and the last five or four or five questions right. After a lot of search, I had zeroed in on EduShastra, and the faculty, in fact, Mr. Kushal was very forthcoming, and he explained everything to me when I went to meet him. And then I had classes at Saket. They were weekend batches because I was working, and the classes were quite competitive, and we had a good bunch, and the faculty was always egging us on to give us our best. And in fact, the small size also helped us in focusing more, and there was more attention given to each student. And I believe and there is that lifetime, like we can extend, like I gave it gave I studied in 2019, and because of certain restrictions, I only gave my exam in 2021, and I am still connected with you guys. I just sent a mail, and they were very forthcoming and arranged all these sessions.
So let's start with the introduction of yours first,
Yes, sir.
and make it brief, just 1 or 2 minutes. Just carry me right from your graduation till the time right now.
Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Kanwalinder. I've done my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Thapar University with an 8.43 CGPA. And after that, I'll also done my MTech part-time in production engineering from IK Gujarat University, Punjab Technical University. I passed it in first division. I started off my career with HPCL Mittal Energy Limited, that was setting up a $5 billion greenfield oil refinery in the state of Punjab. I was in the projects division looking after crude oil storage tanks initially, and then hydrogen generation unit. After that, in 2013, I joined Ministry of MSME as Assistant Director. Initially, I was associated with the Mechanical Division, and post that, currently I'm working in TCSP Division, which is Technology Center Systems Program, which is a World Bank co-funded $400 million project that envisages to set up 15 technology centers across the country. These technology centers will train around 200,000 trainees, and also provide consultancies to MSMEs across the country. I'm also a member of the Norms Committee, which
Okay.
the Norms Committee,
Okay.
which is uh, which is a uh, which is a WTO compliant duty exemption scheme of the Directorate General of Foreign Trade under Chapter 4 of the Foreign Trade Policy. In this, we fix wastage norms for the material that is imported for export of products.
Okay. See, when you're looking at the total profile, I'm not talking about any. I will talk about generalized right now. When you look into any business school selections, um, one of the very important and the strengthen point in your profile is the diversity point. Actually, you bring a very big diversity to the group, and I think most of the business schools, rather all the business schools, would um, love to have a diversity which you bring into the group. Reason being, you have worked with ministries, with
Yes.
government, and I think when you're working with MSMEs, then obviously the challenge is very huge. And
Yes,
I
sir.
think you have been working right from 2008. Am I correct?
Yeah, I've earlier from 2008 to 2013 in HMEL, and from 2013 to present in the ministry.
Okay. Now, if I look at the profile, the main strength is the diversity, as I already told you. Uh, Now, the second point is um, it can be taken as a strength as well as a weakness. Reason being, you have a very big profile, right? From the education, you have many things to talk about. That's a strengthening point. But even you have to defend all the fronts. Now that becomes more of a weakness area. Reason being, if I have been working for only 1 or 2 years, or let's say if I have just a graduation or anything, I have less areas to defend. But in your case, you have many things to talk about and many things to defend. Now let's knit the whole thing together. Okay, I'm looking at the Ministry of a small scale, medium scale kind of a thing, and even I'm looking at the previous thing, previous profile of yours. If I ask you five points, I will give you five facets I will be talking about. If I would like you to pinpoint some of your achievements, or I would say some of the points which can prove your, I would say, ability in that points. The first point I want to you to handle is the leadership point. Now,
Okay.
leadership facet is a very important facet which every business school will look at. Now, looking at the total 12 years or 13 years of experience you have, just try to put at least 2 points in front, which should be analytical and which should have a full story in it. So, just 2 points, if you can just, I would say, prove your leadership qualities.
Okay. One is the projects that I handled in my previous assignment. There were zero lost time incidents in that. So that is one point. Secondly, all the both the projects were completed within the time frame that they were assigned. And in this current assignment that I'm doing, we actually half the payment cycle of the contracts. So I'm looking after the works contracts as well as the consultancy contracts worth around $70 million. So initially, when I joined, there was the issue of delayed payments because the process is very lengthy and it goes, the file actually changes hands 20 times. So you have to actually process the payment and everything. So what we did was we set up timelines for each place, and then we even apprised the higher ups about the payment penalty clause that we had in the contract, and which would get us in trouble while we are closing the contracts. And then we set up a management information system in which we continuously tracked it from the day the contractor used to give it to the our construction management consultant for verification. We would start the monitoring from that day itself. So we were able to bring it down to 28 days. Even in fact, in some cases, we even did it in 15 days. But on an average, it was well within uh, the contractual period of 30 days.
So basically, the point you're making is you made a process to it. You made a
Yeah,
process which can be
yeah,
followed by everyone in the. You're talking about the ministry here, or
yeah. Ministry.
okay. So the point you're making is you laid down a process and that was accepted by the all the ministry. Now, what
Yeah.
is the second point here?
Okay. Secondly, since I had a project background in my previous organization, so I was given this project. But my rest of my colleagues, they had no project background, and but because of the workload, there were other people who had to join this project. So I took it upon myself because it's a very typical project. A government department like ours does not deals in project. So I had to take out the finer points and explain all the finer details of the contract to everyone, so that the important points like the retention money, the PBG validity, the bank guarantees, the mobilization advance deductions, and all those important points of the contract. Though we have a construction management consultant, also we have a project monitoring, but the official approvals have to be taken by a government official only. And so I took it upon myself to educate them and to kind of prepare them. And now, like we have a gelled up, like a quite a well established team, so we are not having much problems. But earlier there were some issues. People were very reluctant to take up the project because they did not have the know-how about the projects, the contractual terms, and they were afraid that if they make a mistake, they might be taken to task.
Okay. Okay. So when you are coming to the second facet, which I talk about the entrepreneurship facet, I think many of you of the points you mentioned can come into that even. But then also I would like you to just pinpoint one or two incidents in which that features or facet of yours is can be seen.
Entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Okay.
Just like you
Uh,
said, you started something new, you
mhm.
said you laid down a process. So it can be anything, which can be a kind of a new initiatives kind of a thing you have taken in the company.
Uh, Not in this company. In the previous company, like oil refineries, they focus a lot on security and
Okay.
safety and security. So our all our HSC managers were they were from British Safety Council. So initially they were finding it tough to maintain those that kind of a culture there. So we took it upon ourselves. So every day we would go to the site and we would then have a toolbox talk, a 10 to 15-minute pep talk in which we would talk that we have to follow safety and everything. We'll talk to the laborers, and then we would have a weekly management safety walk in which we would just have our HSC manager and we'll go with the contractor as well as us. We would take a whole round of the site, and then we would point out flaws or the uh, potential areas which could lead to unsafe conditions or to an accident. And then we also twice a week we would go to the labor colonies, the labor camps which are adjacent to our site, and then check whether the conditions are safe, whether there is safe access to safe drinking water, the facilities are there to have like the proper hygienic facilities are being maintained or not. So that is one thing that we did.
Okay. If I just talk about the five facets, just tell me which facet you are very strong at. The first, as I told you, was the leadership point. The second is the entrepreneurship. The third is the management and organizational skills. I think it seems to be your strength because all the points actually try to come in the management and organizational skill sets. The fourth thing is the creativity and problem solving skill sets, which I think you mentioned, like you laid down a process, you were able to bring the process to, I think the lead time turned out to be half, I think. And
Yeah.
so I just need to understand if you look at, and the fifth facet is the EQ facet, the the emotional quotient facet which we talk about, or which exactly sets one human apart from the other. So when you look at the total profile and the way you have even introduced the profile to us, the four facets, which is the leadership or the entrepreneurship or management organizations or creativity and problem solving skills, looks very, I would say, can be defended very easily and can be represented as a strong point. But when you look at the EQ facets, your total resume is very blank in it, total silent into it. And when I see you, Mr. Sodi, as a human being or a emotional quotient points, I don't have anything to talk about or to show anything in it. Even the way I think it isn't shown to us. So, do you have anything which you can talk about? Because it looks like a very one-dimensional, a kind of a profile. That's one of
Uh,
the weakness I want to just.
so, just what exactly is the EQ quotient, sir? If you could just explain
See,
it up.
EQ is a human facet.
Okay.
One thing is which can be, which can you can talk it as like which is not work related, might
Mhm.
be arts, might be your work with your concern with the others. A kind of a human.
Okay.
I would say if I divide the whole facets of humans, I would say one is a IQ, one is a EQ.
Okay.
IQ, when we say, is an intelligence quotient, and that is an emotional quotient. Intelligence quotient usually, when we talk about in a, I would say, very layman language, I will say it will include your education, it will include your work. But when I
Okay.
say EQ, EQ will come to be a total as a human portrait. Let's say if Mr. Sodi was not working,
Mhm.
if
So.
so what he would be doing, what kind of a person that, see what exactly sets you apart. If I see two people working the same ministry, doing the same profile, what
Mhm.
exactly will set you apart from the other person?
Okay. So, in my extracurriculars, I've been like during my college level, I was in my dramatics team, and
Okay, so
we've
that should be
won.
mentioned, right?
Yeah. So I was in my dramatics team, and we won a lot of awards also. I was also in the cultural committee team,
Okay,
as well as I was elected the class representative of my batch,
okay,
final year batch. And apart from that, like my there is a story that my grandmother came from Pakistan during partition. So she like they were big landlords, like they had villages and villages under their name. But when they had to during the partition, they had to leave everything and they had to come back. So when so my grandmother would always tell my mother that it's the knowledge that goes with you, because she's had that experience. So she always wanted my mom to get educated, and so my mother did her masters and in economics, and she also did her M.Ed, B.Ed, and everything. And that is what she always used to tell me, that it's the knowledge that goes with you. So, and because of that, I what we've imbibed from her is that she used to teach in a government girls college school,
okay,
government girls school. So we would so she would adopt have NGOs adopt certain children over there, so they would pay for their fees, though it was not much, but still people could not afford that, like it used to come to 2000 a year or something like that. But then there were people who could not even afford that. So
okay,
we actually got that values from her, and in fact we also used to contribute towards that. Also, like I regularly contribute. It's not much, but I regularly contribute to MSF, which is the Doctors Without Borders. It's an international NGO. And earlier I had
contribution in the terms of monetary things,
yeah,
or
monetary,
okay, what is it?
mostly
Not
monetary.
work related. Okay,
Not work related, because they only have doctors who they provide medical facilities to people who do not have access to medical. Plus, I am a Sikh, so we have that practice of actually taking out 1/10 of our whatever we make, we take 1/10 out of it, and then accordingly we give it to other all the charitable organizations. Like we give it to Gurdwara, we give
okay,
food products so that the community kitchen can be served. So
hmm,
basically, medical, education, and food. These are the basically three facets where actually I contribute according to whatever resources I have. So I try
okay,
to put in my bit. Plus, since I left a very well-paying job to be in the social sector, because you being in the MSME sector, I almost came at almost half my salary what I was making in my private organization. So this social impact is always a very important factor for me. That
okay,
is one of the reasons, and that is one of the things that I would be looking for in my MBA also. That if I can join an organization that has a social impact factor.
Okay. See, that brings to a very important question is why MBA? That is, I always say the two most important things which you should be very clear about is why you and why they. So
Hmm.
if the question comes why you, that why you should be chosen and why you are choosing them. Okay. So I
Hmm.
just need how you're going to answer that question of why you and why them.
So why MBA? Because I believe that through an MBA, I can have a better reach. Like I've seen what people at certain management positions, the type of impact that they can have. Because I've very closely worked with a lot of ministries, secretaries, joint secretaries, and all. So the kind of influence that they can have on the lives of people, and I believe that if I get an opportunity to uh, like right now, if I want to reach that level of management power, then it will take at least 20 to 25 years for me to get to that level. But I believe that an MBA can jettison my career, and if I join a social impact organization or a not-for-profit organization, then at a very early stage I can influence the lives of the people. Secondly, MBA, like education has always been, if you see my profile, I have been continuously trying to upgrade myself. First I did my bachelor's, then I also did my MTech. I have also passed the certificate of proficiency in beginners, the beginner level, just the very basic level in French language, from School of Foreign Languages, Ministry of Defense. So I've been always trying to get to know something better, to just improve upon myself, to improve my skills. So the quest for knowledge is always there. So I believe that an MBA can give me, because an MBA gives you knowledge about a lot of sectors. It will give you knowledge about marketing. It will give you knowledge about finance, accounting, and everything, operations, strategy. So all these skills help you take decisions better. Right now, I I have only experience mostly in the project management, or the mostly in the project management field. But an MBA would give me a holistic view of how all the things are run, how everything is done. So I believe that is why I don't want to do MBA.
Okay. See, Mr. Sodi, this answer was not very convincing.
Okay.
See, if I'm going to any place and if I'm aiming something, let's say if I'm taking a train from Delhi to Mumbai, if a question comes where exactly I'm going, I cannot say I'm going to a good place.
Mhm.
And how do will I say that? How will I prove that Mumbai is a good place? The answer is you're going to Mumbai. That's a precise and exact answer.
Mhm.
See, when we go to an MBA, obviously it will help me in my career. Obviously, it will give me more knowledge. But am I going to some place just for the knowledge sake? Shouldn't I be knowing what exactly which knowledge I'm going to get? Let's say, why not? I shouldn't enter into a physics class and get more knowledge in physics. Or why shouldn't I go to a geography session and start getting knowledge about the geography things, volcanoes and all? Why shouldn't I? That's not the point actually. The point is I have a past. I'm doing something right now, and I
Mhm.
have a future. Future, obviously, I have some goals. When I go to an MBA, I go for an exact, very specific reason. It can
Mhm.
be knowing about, as you said, maybe marketing, maybe finance, or maybe some skills. Maybe I want to have a skill set, something very specific of I'm not able to inspire my teams. I am not very good in team management. The point, what I'm trying to say is giving an answer that I'm going for a knowledge is a very generalized point. The answer should be very specific point. Let's say, just like you mentioned, the answer should be like, I want to work for society, just like as you said, but I lack these skills of financial skills. I don't know exactly how a company or a big organization, how exactly that financial skill sets or organizational skill sets that I want to learn. And why I want to learn? Because I don't have it. The point is, if I'm going for some future, it should be my skill set plus the skill set which business school will give me, and that the total skill sets will help me get my future. That's the whole idea.
Okay.
If anyone is giving a generalized answer like getting more money, getting more perks, having a good career, or saying it's a knowledgeable area, knowledgeable field, or I say it's a good place, or I say it's a beautiful place, that's not an answer. Basically, what does it tell is what exactly your answer actually will tell the other person is that a person who is so well established in his work and might be contributing and might can contribute quite a lot in that organization, he's trying a new beginning without a reason. And that shows a confused mindset actually.
Okay.
See, I should be the best. I should have the best company. That's every that's not a qualification in any way. Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to have the best company in the world. The point is how. And that exactly when you answer a why MBA and even why you chose that school, and even when you answer your 5 year goal, the short term goals, over 15 or 20 year down the line, which is long term goals, actually all these three questions actually decide your candidature, because that tells exactly that the reason you're sitting there, the reason you're giving that interview, the reason you're applying to a business school is not just because I want to grow. The basic idea is if I'm going to Mumbai, I'm going because I'm going to Mumbai. That's the answer.
Okay.
Okay. And if you're going to Mumbai and wants to have a look at the gateway of India, precise answer, perfect answer. But if you say I'm going to Mumbai because it's a good place, that's
Mm-hmm.
not the answer. Or the reason can be because I've always moved forward. That's why I'm going to Mumbai. Just like in one of the your sentence I recall, you said, um, I've always upgraded myself in knowledge or anything. Sir, upgradation without direction. It can also be taken as, let's say, I'm just upgrading, moving in a circle.
Okay.
Or the question in you will have a very good challenge in interviews when the question will keep on coming that why can't you sit in the same place where you are, grow in that place and contribute more rather than starting a new journey. I wouldn't call it middle of your life or a middle of your career. You may take it as. So that all you have to defend. Actually, that was the point I was making.
Mm-hmm.
The weakness in this profile is you have many things to defend. You have already taken a journey. Actually, you've already
Mm-hmm.
moved into one direction. Now, if a fresher is taking a journey into, let's say, south or north or east or west, it's easy, I would say, escape. But when a person has already taken a south direction and has moved 20 years into that direction and then says something like, which um, which is not a very precise answer or which is not a very specific point. then it looks not very convincing. You know, that's the point. Even it appeared to me.
Okay.